Hi, Arcfieldweather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, February 28th, the last day of the month of February, and it'll end on a cold note, colder than normal for this time of the year across the mid-Atlantic region, with high temperatures confined to the 30s for the most part this afternoon. That's in most areas some 10 degrees below normal as we end the month of February. Looks like a fairly quiet week for the most part. In the northeastern part of the nation, we'll kind of monitor the movement of a clipper system during the latter part of the week. But again, for the most part, it looks like a relatively quiet week. May turn warmer over the upcoming weekend, and that could bring some rain to the mid-Atlantic region. Let's say Saturday night, Sunday time frame, more on that over the next few days. Just wanted to take a look at the stratosphere right now in terms of the temperature pattern, and one of the things we'll be kind of monitoring over the next several days to give us a clue perhaps as to what kind of weather pattern we may expect across the central and eastern U.S. as we go through the month of March. There is a stratospheric warming event underway right now, and it's a possibility that this will lead to generally a cold pattern during the latter part of the month of March, even perhaps going into the early part of April. Here's where we stand right now. We've shown this kind of a map before. It's a temperature pattern at 10 millibars. This is way up at the top of the atmosphere, what we call the stratosphere. Kind of looking at a top-down view here with the North Pole right in this little circle region right here, and the U.S. is located right here, and the other side of the pole, the Asian side of the pole, over here. Typically, we have a cold polar vortex, something like this, showing up near the North Pole this time of the year. But notice right here, there's kind of a blob of warmer air relative to this air. This is not warm air, but it's warmer relative to this air. And this is what we talk about when we're looking at a stratospheric warming event. Kind of warmer air relative to its surroundings suddenly pop up upper part of the atmosphere near the pole. This is, again, what we're looking at right now. Let's go out 5 days ahead and then 10 days ahead. And here we are. This is a GFS model forecast for 5 days from now. So it changes to this from what we currently have right here. So we have this warming over here, and then the polar vortex on this side, the North America side of the pole. And then in 5 days it kind of flips, where the polar vortex goes to the Asian side of the pole. Again, remember, the North Pole on this particular kind of a map is right in this region right here, with the U.S. down here. This is Mexico down in here. It's kind of hard to tell here, but again, in 5 days, the warmer air moves onto the North American side of the pole, and the typical polar vortex flips over to the Asian side. Let's go out another 5 days, and this is out 10 days now. Again, using a model forecast from the GFS. Again, that polar vortex certainly gets displaced from its current location over the next 5 or 10 days or so onto the other side of the pole, with a little bit of warming here in a couple of regions here on the North America side of the pole. Now, this could lead to a displacement of cold air from the high latitudes into the mid latitudes, and perhaps into the central and eastern U.S. For let's say the second half of the month of March, going into the month of April. So again, this is something we'll monitor over the next several days, what's going on at the stratospheric level. Well, in the shorter term, let's take a look at the GFS model run from 0Z last night. Again, generally a fairly quiet weather pattern, not only in the mid-Atlantic region, but throughout much of the nation over the next several days. We generally have a northwest to southeast flow of air over the next several days across the northern U.S. And we'll have to watch for a clipper system or two that will kind of penetrate from the northwest to the southeast. A couple of cold frontal systems as well. Let's just move forward here in time and watch. Again, this is kind of the active area, the northern U.S. over the next several days. There is a upper level feature way out over Baja California, but this is the area that of interest for the mid-Atlantic region, as again, some weak systems will generally flow from northwest to southeast. Here we go by the middle part of the week. a lot of energy up across Canada, but still just a typical northwest to southeast flow. With that kind of a flow, we certainly won't get too warm, and will stay moderately cold at times with the passages of some cold frontal systems. Here we go into the latter part of the weekend. This area of energy does bear watching. It's kind of a clipper-looking system here that can have some kind of an impact in northeastern states. Let's say we're at the Thursday time frame. This actually is a forecast map for Thursday morning. As is often the case with clippers, it has pretty limited moisture available to it, but nonetheless it has some energy here aloft that could set off some snow in the northeastern part of the nation, again around the Thursday time frame or so. Let's move past that, and by the time we get to the end of the work week and into the early part of the upcoming week, and this is Saturday morning forecast map, there's kind of a more widespread area of energy, of upper level disturbances out across the middle of the nation by the time we get to Saturday morning. That could ultimately result in some rain moving into the Middle Atlantic region, perhaps Saturday night, Sunday time frame. Well, let's take a look at the surface maps from the 0Z GFS model run. Again, a cold start to the week, a cold start to the end of the month of February. Philadelphia's high temperature, for an example, at Philly International Airport today is 47 degrees, likely to be more like 37 degrees, some 10 degrees colder than normal. Canadian high pressure in control over the southeastern part of Canada. Here's that flow of air, and we'll see kind of a stretched out area of moisture along this frontal boundary zone here, this northwest to southeast flow over the next several days, extending from southern Canada all the way into the northeastern part of the nation. Let's move forward here. Excuse me, again, a couple of clipper systems to monitor over the next few days. This is by tomorrow afternoon. Looks like its impact will be limited to the northern part of New England, maybe even some accumulating snow up there, but nothing New York City, Philadelphia, or DC. Then we have another little system here at midweek, and then we talked about that next clipper system. This is the one I have the most interest in, I would say, over the next few days, around the Thursday time frame. This is Thursday morning time frame. Certainly can produce some scattered snowfall in the northeastern states around Thursday into Thursday night. It will be followed by another influx of cold air to end the work week right here. By the time we get to Friday, it looks like Friday itself will be a colder day, but then warming trend will set up first over the central part of the nation at the end of the work week, and it looks like that warm front right here kind of will set up by the time we get to Saturday morning. Could result in more than likely rainfall for the DC, Philadelphia, New York City corridor, probably late Saturday night time frame, as some milder air kind of tries to push in from the southwest to the northeast. So fairly quiet week. The one clipper system we'll monitor looks like it could have an impact in the northeastern states somewhere in the Thursday night time frame. Certainly monitor that over the next couple of days, and we'll certainly monitor an unfolding stratospheric warming event over the next week or two to see if it could have an impact on temperatures in the central and eastern U.S., let's say during the second half of March going into the early part of April. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.